sign paperwork. Just watch out, man.
He's gone.
Take 76. That's when we know we've made it, when we're talking about AG1.
That's the move, yeah.
Yeah, no. I actually believe the world's flat.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it, bro. When you look out over the ocean, is it round? I mean, if it was round, all the water would be in one corner. Let's think about this. I mean, it's just not logical. So, yeah, no, the world's flat. You know it, people. My boy Mad Mike recently died. Rest in peace. But that's what happens when you strap your RV or your rocket to the back of your RV and hold on.
Any second.
Way!
All right, let's talk about the Baja 500. Once again, I don't know how many videos of these we've made recently where I say, I really don't want to be talking about this, but I'm gonna push through because I love you guys. So Baja 500. So obviously San Felipe did not go that great. So starting for the Baja 500, we were starting 10th or ninth. So because you start based off how you finished at the 250 for the 500. So started 9th, which is always tough. You know, you got to kind of work your way through some people. So overall, got my pre-running done. Everything was good. You know, it was feeling good. I felt fast. Felt like it was going to be our day because we put in a lot of work and we've had a lot of bad luck lately. So I was like, we're due for it. So started the day off, leaving Ensenada. You know, it's highway section, then you hop it back in a speed zone, and then you kind of work your way out of Ensenada. Through there, it was just super dusty. Being that far back in the pack with all the trophy trucks and the class 1s in front of us, it was just kind of like, hey, let's just play it smart. Let's not push through the dust unless we see an opportunity. And yeah, kind of it was frustrating because we're just stuck in people's dust. Got close to the guy in front of me a couple times, but it just wasn't worth pushing through when you have 500 more miles to go. So get through there, get to Ojos. Once we get into Ojos in the speed zone, I can see a couple class 1 cars. I can see Brent Fox in his spec truck. You know, he's starting right in front of me. As we're leaving Ojos, all of a sudden Brent Fox, he's on fire. His door caught on fire from, so our speed limiters, if you overuse them in a way, you kind of abuse it, they'll dump fuel and you have the possibilities of, depending on how your exhaust is running, and it'll actually catch your door on fire. Specifically on the truck he uses, it's happened a couple times. So with other trucks, but yeah, so there's one truck. So that was kind of a bummer for him. I think he did end up continuing, but so we continued on there. From Ojos to K77, I kind of put my head down, got by a couple class 1 cars, had one brake check me. That was a little interesting. That yeah, he just straight on 100-mile-an-hour speed zone or speed section. I was like, oh, whoops. But yeah, so leaving Ojos to K77, pretty standard. They did add a little more fast, flowy stuff, which it wasn't ideal because that point everyone's still tightened up, and when you're going faster, it's harder to catch people because you don't want to push through sketchy high speed stuff at 100 miles an hour. It's much easier to do it at 30 miles an hour. But so going through there, right before K77, we caught another spec truck. Kind of got right on his bumper. I forget who it was. Sims, I think is his name. Came in, punched through the dust, was able to get through him, because I was really wanting to get out on the highway before him. So bumped him, and then he proceeded to run, which I was not having it. And so I chased him back down through his dust and slammed him. Yeah, I mean, it was a nice tap. It was a nice tap. But so did that and then hopped on the highway. Luckily, I still didn't get by him there, but he pitted, so it kind of worked out. That's probably why it wasn't letting me by, but you know, survival of the fittest here. So did that, hopped off the highway right there, started catching a couple trophy truck legends, popped through those guys real quick, a little bumper use. From K77 to the top of the summit, was super tight, and then there's some super fast sections, kind of fun, but basically just kind of sitting on the edge of dust all day, which it felt like such a slow pace. I was definitely getting frustrated, but I was like, Christopher, you just got to be patient. It's a long day. It's not really worth crashing in the beginning or getting a flat unnecessarily. So kind of just sat on the outside of Herbst's dust for a while, ran through, got to the top of the summit. Summit was tight, technical, and for me, I've had some bad luck with the summits, or I guess I'm not very good at the summits, whatever you want to call it. So I was like, okay, let's just get through the summit. It was super rocky. Let's get no flats. Let's just cruise down this thing and get through it. So did that, was pumped because just kind of sat on the edge of those guys. Could still see them. Got to the bottom. One of those guys got a flat right at the bottom in the washes. So I kind of ran through there. At that point, we really started catching some like slower trophy trucks and stuff, but luckily we dropped into some washes where I was kind of able to take some different split lines, get by some of them, and just kind of put my head down. Through there, down in the top of San Felipe, just all super fast washes, fast kind of lake bed areas, some sketchy silt beds that, you know, the dust is like just billowing so high, and you just drive, like you can't just wait for it to die die down because it never is going to. So you just kind of have to drive blindly into this just cloud because they put a VCP right in the middle of one of the silt beds. So you're just kind of like, oh, hope I don't hit someone or get stuck. So do that. That point, kind of run down through some sand, and then to La Ventana or North La Ventana area where we had our first pit, race mile 170. So had a super good, you know, no problem pit. The guys had me, you know, 2 rear tires and fuel, real fast, easy. At that point we took off. At that point we had really tightened our gaps on the Spy truck and then also a Herbst truck. At that point it was like, okay, head down, let's go get these guys. And so we came down and there was a bunch of split lines, and those two were kind of screwing around on this right one. Herbst took the right one, the Spy truck followed him, and because it was smoother down there. So I hopped in the main line and just started plowing through whoops, just pushing the truck to the max. It was a little pissed off at me. But at that point, got the Spy truck, and then was able to get close enough to the Herbst truck. I was able to like file in, knowing that I just kind of had to point it straight, push until I got to his bumper, and then kind of draft around him. It was pretty cool. I was pretty pumped on that because 2 for 1 kind of, and it just feels cool when you push through the dust and all of a sudden you get it by him. Kind of do a little bushwhacking. It was a little sketchy, but you know, at that point I had told myself once I get through like our first pit, I can kind of pick it up a little and charge harder. So take off, run down there. At that point, pass a couple more trophy trucks and some 1 cars on. You know, it sucks because there's some rough stuff in there, so you're kind of just stuck in this one line, but was able to get around those guys. Then getting to Borrego, caught Kiger, was able to pass Kiger, sat in his dust for a while, and then was able to pass him on a cut line that I had, which I was pretty pumped on. Ben, don't show that too much because then people will see my secrets. But past Kiger there, and then also passed a trophy truck right there. Dropped through Borrego, and then went to do the San Felipe South Loop. At this point, things were feeling good. I was kind of just on cruise control because we were getting some splits. I was right in the mix overall on time. And it was like, okay, we still got a long day. Let's just cruise. So cruising. Going through a really silty corner, all of a sudden got a random flat. Was pretty frustrated about that. Mike Kim got out, changed that. And then we dropped into these sand washes and ran up these sand washes up San Felipe. And then you kind of hop on this like hard pack ridges and you run down the ridges. And going down the ridges about 10 miles later, I got another flat. That one was really random. Got passed by a couple cars that I just worked by, like Kiger and stuff. So I was like, gosh, dang it, you gotta be kidding me. And now I had zero spares. So that's always a little nerve wracking because you're going, So run through. So after you go on those ridges, you turn right and you hop in some massive sand whoops, which you are just kind of regretting life going through those things. Even in the truck, like they are just, well, boom. And then especially when you don't have 2 spares on the back, you know, we tune our trucks for 2 spares on the back. So when you have, that's over 300 pounds of weight gone. So the truck's just acting all funny. It wasn't pleasant, but cruise through there. That point, jump by the highway, pull in. My guys give me 2 fresh tires on the back. So we pull up to the highway, near the highway, able to get to the Chase guys. They're able to re-rack 2 tires. So now I'm not driving without 2 spares, which that's very scary. You kind of have to bring your pace down because then if you get a flat, you're screwed. So that was not ideal, but we got through it. So yeah, you work up there by the windmills, and then you go through like San Matias Wash, which that's a pretty fun, fast, flowy wash. At that point, hop on the highway and start going through Valley T. Long highway section. So get through Valley T, get through all the farms, and then you hop on this power pole road. Pretty fun, fast, flowy, come up. Then you hop in these kind of more technical mountainy section. It's kind of flowy though, and we're just working our way through there, and then right where we're about to, there's a thing called the crossover, and we're about to cross over the crossover road. I start to feel something a little funny, and I'm like, what the heck? I'm like, something's wrong, and Mike's like, everything looks fine on as far as like our sensor wise. So that was okay, and then we come in, and there's a big right-hander, 90, and then you cross the crossover road. So there's a bunch of Chase teams there. And as we come across, it goes coo, coo. And I'm like, okay, something's definitely wrong, like as we're making that turn. So I pull into our Chase guys, and they look, and they're like, hey, there's a your toe strap has flown out, and it's kind of wrapped around the back. It's going to be fine. It'll probably, you might hear it a little, but it'll be fine. You'll be good. And I was like, okay, because like nothing else looks good. So I take off and make it like 20 feet, and it's like grinding like crazy. I'm like, oof. And so I kind of come to a stop again, and I'm like, oh, this thing doesn't feel like it really wants to go. And I'm like, guys, there's got to be something. They're like, nothing. And then they're like, we can't find anything. Like, just see if it'll go forward. And so I try to go forward, and poof, brakes, whatever it was. Try second gear, nope, third gear, boom. So that point, hop out of the truck, see it's our rear third member. Appears it took some damage from some type of rock, kind of a weird hit. Not really sure how, but yeah, so basically something broke, all the oil drained out, therefore heating up and then melting parts inside our third member, rear gear, whatever you want to call it. So yes, that unfortunately kind of where our day went to really bad. And at that point it was kind of, okay, do we put a new third member in it? Do we, what's the decision here? We still have about 200 miles or about 170 miles to go. What's the decision here? And so we hop out, I kind of analyzed it, get on the radio with luckily our Chase guy, one of our Chase guys was there. More a limited Chase, just a Raptor with some basic parts, so they didn't have a third member. But get a hold of Jimmy on the sat, and he's like, I have one, I'm not far, I'll be there, start pulling it out. So I jump underneath, start pulling stuff apart. Me and Mike, some of the crew guys, we're pulling everything apart. It was extremely hot, man. It was burning the crap out of ourselves. And I didn't want to mess up my new suit, so I was trying to be all nice. And then there's red ants everywhere. So that was lovely. But start getting that apart. At that point, little Jimmy got there in about, 10, 15 minutes. I imagine he was like on the gas in our poor Chase truck. But, those Ford Super Duties, built tough, baby, Ford tough.
I'm a Ford truck man.
So he gets there. At that point, I evacuate because Jimmy takes over. He gets that changed up real quick. I have a few snacks, drink of water, have some fruit snacks, sit in the AC, turn on my AC seat in a Raptor for a little. It was nice. I was enjoying life. Then they're like, all right, you got to get back in. So I was like, all right, let's do this. At this point, the lead Razors had just passed us. Some 10 cars had passed us. So it was kind of like at this point, let's just get this thing to the finish. We're definitely out of the chase. And the tough part about when coming from the back, you don't want to ruin other people's day. You know, you got the lead UTV, and yes, they're a lot slower, but they're in their race, they're checked out, they're winning. So the last thing you want to do is come up in your 6,000 pound truck and break something off the back of them. And so it's a tough go from there, because you catch these guys and you want to push through the dust and get to them, but then it's like you can't nerf them. So it's kind of a battle, and you don't want to crash the truck again pushing through the dust. So at that point, just kind of cruised and picked off guys where we could, did it safely. So yeah, from there you jump over, do the crossover road, which is super fun, kind of rally style, and then run down to the coast, which the coast section was rad. You know, kind of through these rolling hills, and then parts where you're literally just on the water. Unfortunately, the dust was just terrible, so we kind of were just sitting in dust and whatnot. Yeah, we run up the coast, and at this point I catch a slower, larger truck, the Honda guys, and I don't know why. I was really real patient, waited, like didn't push through their dust, and finally found a split line. And as I came to them at the split line, it was kind of like close, but I was passing them, and my truck's bigger and stuff. They proceeded to like try to turn into me. So I checked up, because I was like, I'm not gonna wreck this truck. And if I proceeded, I would have totaled their truck, because my truck weighs more. So at that point, I'm like, yo, what the heck? Okay, whatever, I'll be patient, I'll get them somewhere else. Get them on another split line, but it kind of comes in where we're side by side. And they proceeded to like start turning into the side of me, which I was like, whoa, dude, like, we're not even in the same class. Like, just let me go by. Like, I caught you. Like, let me just go. Like, I didn't like nerf you or anything. I'm like, okay, well, whatever. He's like turning into me. So I kind of like, I'm able to still get around him, because I'm like, dude, I'm not going to turn into you, whatever. So I'm like, okay, that was kind of weird. And then right after I pass him, it goes into a hard right 90, and they freaking nerf me in their truck. And I'm like, dude, you just got past, like, and I would never even, I didn't touch him, I didn't nerf. I was like, dude, I don't know what your guys' deal is. I was a little fired up at that point. I'm like, they was lucky my front bumper was kind of broken, so I didn't want to rip the rest of my lights off, because now that we were so far down, I definitely was going to finish at night. So I was like, I don't want to damage my lights, but I was like, dude, you're lucky I don't have a front bumper. I might turn around and use that thing. So I was like, okay, whatever. I got by them clean. I don't know why they wanted to, literally, they were trying to crash us. But the problem was, my truck weighs more. I would have won. I would have gone full short course on him and like, pit maneuver. See ya. But that's besides the point. So get by them, and at that point, kind of just cruising, trying to get through some. Sorry. Hi, Kaya. What are you doing? Why are you so friendly? Okay. Guess she's not. She's chilling. Or no, yeah. So we run. I get past the Honda guys, and then I had to pull over and check rear diff oil, because we were leaking some, and we discovered that at our second pit. So do that. Just, we're able to see that, oh, it's leaking some, but able to retighten some things and get the seal a little better. And so, but still want to just check every 30, 40 miles just to make sure we didn't lose any oil. No reason to burn up a second, third member. One thing, they're not cheap, and I didn't really want to sleep outside for the thing. So that point, the Honda passes me again, which I kind of thought was funny, because I was like, now I'm coming. But it's crazy. I don't know. They pulled over real fast when I got up close to them again. I don't know if they saw me coming, or if they got a flat or something. I don't know. But went by them. That point, dropped into San Tomas, which is super fun, like rally roads through these like vineyards. Pretty fun. And then you're just kind of cruising, because it's dusty, and you're catching UTVs and class 10 cars. And like I said, I don't want to ruin the race. So go there, and then we hop into European area, which at this point, it's just starting to get dark. And European's just a scary area. There's rain ruts that are massive. There's cliffs that are massive. There's silty stuff. Like, it's just in a lot of blind rises, and you're off camber, and it's just not fun in a truck, to be honest, especially as it's starting to get dark. So I kind of just picked my way through there, and then go through like Tracer Montes area, and then drop down back to Ojos. At this point, it's fully dark. The dust is terrible, so I'm just cruising. And then from Ojos to the finish, it was just sitting in some really slow trophy truck's dust. I was getting a little annoyed. And then hop down, and then there's right at the finish, literally the finish, there's like, I don't know how many miles of 37 mile an hour speed zone. So you hop in there and just can't speed, can't go slow. You're like, dude, I'm losing it. So yep, do that, and then yeah, finish. But it was a pretty eventful day. Not what we wanted. I was extremely bummed, to be honest. We had speed, we had it all come together, and to go down like that, it's tough. As a driver, you're like, ultimately it comes back, I must have clipped some type of rock or something. But man, it's a bummer. It's not what the team needed, but on the bright side, we got a lot of really cool stuff coming in the future. So be sure to drop a comment below and subscribe, because we have a lot of cool stuff you're not going to want to miss in the next couple weeks for some big news, like really big news, like could be some of the biggest news in my career. So you should subscribe, hit that bell so you get my notifications, so you can be the first to know this big news. I don't know, it's pretty cool. Vicente even thinks it's cool, which he doesn't think much is cool. But yeah, that's another rant from Christopher. So not much more to say. If you have any questions about the race, comment them below and I'll answer them. If you haven't, if you guys are liking the YouTube channel, let us know. It gets me and Ben, who films them all, hyped to see your guys' comments. And if you see us out in person, say what's up. We love it. And that's a wrap. Sadly, another long video. As my phone rings.